is a mistake. I really know you can end up get a good, very good seedling, but the problem comes in your seedling all of a sudden it has started changing, drying. Why? Simply because you are using hoe badly. When you are weeding this area, they don't weed with the hoe, they only uproot. Putting a hoe inside here, you are cutting those feeder roots. So it will not, this tree will not grow. Instead you are just putting diseases in it. So that's why it's really important to make sure that you have such kind of a thing. I think everyone is asking himself why this? Why having this kind of a ring around the plant? In real sense, why do we have it? Remember, the land is slopey. If there is any runoff of water which is coming from above, we don't want siltation, accumulation of sand around here. So the runoff will be coming from there, it will come from up, reaching there, it may take this route and take either the other route, and the runoff goes down. By doing this, creating a basin, number one, you have a feeding trough. This is a feeding trough where you feed the plant. That's why you are seeing this manure on top to feed this tree. Another thing is, if you can see, most of this basin is almost flat, like this, from here to the other part. It's almost flat, because if it goes like this, if it tilts a bit, it means even if when you are watering, all the water will be going on the lowest point. And we know when the water goes on the lowest point, all the roots through osmosis or either diffusion, it will be following where the water is. So you will not be having uniformity. This tree is very funny. If it gets where water accumulates, even the leaves itself, it goes there, and these other sides remain there. So try to make it uniform. This tree, the scion was got from a mature tree, which is already producing. But when you graft on this, the possibility of it flowering, it may become next month after planting. Now what do? Do you leave it to form a fruit, or do you have to defruit? You have to defruit. Why do we have to defruit?
Support. It is not mature.
Perfect. Yeah. It's still weak.
Yes.
To allow it to produce.
Yes.
Number two is you are trying to minimize that nutrients from being taken to the fruit, and the health of the plant will be okay.
Yes.
So you defruit it. You deflower, because it's a flower.
Yes.
You deflower those flowers. But if you move around because you did not check properly, it had formed a pear-shaped fruit. Remove those fruits. Then allow the tree to grow. Attaining this height of the tree within only 2 years is not a joke. Most of the trees in most orchards have not reached this height. And we cannot say that this drip irrigation it was put even day one. They did not put it day one. Remember, this farm was having sugarcane, the way you had a director say. All the nutrients was depleted to zero. But now you can see, out of the good practices they are doing, already even you as a farmer, you can emulate on this and learn it properly on how you can do it. So now we have planted the trees, we have defruited the flowers, or either we deflowered it and then we have defruited. So now you planted this plant during rainy season. Now the dry season has come. How are you going to handle it? This tree needs water. And even if you guys, all of you who are those farmers who have planted this avocado, if you observe it properly, you will see these trees flowering during dry season. Most of them flowers during dry season. Why do they flower during dry season? It's because of the stress. If it does not get water, it will flower. So that is the problem with this tree. Another thing is you heard our parents or either grandparents those days say that if your mango tree does not produce, you hit by the nail. And even if, can somebody answer to me, why were we doing that?
Reaction.
It's shocking. But yes. Others will tell you the tree does not have iron. So by the time you are nailing with the iron, you are fixing iron for it to produce. That's not the essence. Remember, these trees are psychology like any other human being. And there is something called phenology. Phenology is the circle of the tree, starting from the root, going upwards, leaves, new shoots, flowers, like that, until you form fruits. it's a circle. To an extent, after harvesting, there is a part whereby it enters into dormancy for 2 months for recovery first before it starts growing again with new roots. So this thing, it's called phenology. It is a study. Even you as a farmer, the more you become so close to this tree, you understand it better. That is the phenology we are talking about. You start knowing that, okay, fine, it has become dormant, it's not producing. Number 2, it's not flowered. Number 3, it has flowered, and yet from nowhere. Yesterday I passed here, there was no flowers. Today it has flowered. So there is that scenario. The phenology runs from the root to the root set. It's a circle. But if this tree gets a stress, it cuts across the circle. It does not complete the circle. And that's where it's more dangerous in this tree. That's why you see when you have fruits in your farm, they have been burned by the sun. Sunburn. I think those ones who are on the group see. Sunburn. Why? It's because you allow the tree to get the stress, which was really not necessary. For this one, feed it properly, give it manure properly. If you have enough manure, don't worry, even if it's still young. Give even 1 basin of manure. Give that one 20 kilos basin. That one, that 20 kilo. Give it. So that you should not have it cutting across the circle.
The circle.
Because the repercussion comes in. If you allow it to cut through the circle, it will put a lot of fruits. Instead of putting leaves, it put fruits. And if it put fruits during dry season, only for 2 weeks, all will turn yellow. It will be burned by the sun. Then another thing, because you allowed it to get stressed, this tree, you will start seeing the stem cracking or either turning black. You can see this one, the stems are green. You can see these stems, they are very green.
Yes.
Because it's getting enough nutrients, whatever it's really wants. But now, those ones which you have in your orchard, it becomes dark. Once it becomes dark, it cracks because there is no enough water which goes up. So through a process called constriction process, it reaches a point where a tree has to survive with water which is inside, which is along the tree. And now it has a reverse method where the other water which is up goes down. So at that process where it goes down, the tree tends to do what? To crack. When it cracks, it removes, it exudes some substance like water. Once it exudes this substance like water, remember it's nutrients, and nutrients is sugary. So the insects which are around here, it will climb that tree and start sapping those liquids. And once we know that insects are the carriers of most bacteria and diseases and pathogens, once it has entered there, it starts decaying. You can see your trees having white things.
Yes.
Try sometimes once a year, I have not seen it. But if you see it, it's not poison. Go and get it and taste it. It's sugar. So the insects comes and feed on that. Once it feeds on that, the pathogens, it becomes an entry point of pathogens. And that's how the trees become sick. Another scenario happens that when it rains hailstones and hits this tree, the next day in the morning, you can see wounds and white substances around the tree. If you cannot treat it immediately, you really need to get a fungicide, either protective, to protect the tree against the disease from entering. So you really need to act very fast before you incur a lot of money to treat that. Because if you allow that one to happen, there is no one who will tell you, go and buy insecticide, come and spray. Or either go and buy the fungicide, come and spray. They are combination of two. You have to spray insecticide and you have to spray fungicide. And these are very expensive. That's why you see most of farmers saying that doing avocado is very expensive. Doing this crop is not expensive. What is so expensive is when you allow it to grow and then you want to correct it. It becomes more expensive. But invest that money, put the manure and do some water. Those ones who have a tree between 2 months to around 6 months, you can be watering 3 times. After every 3 days you water. After every 3 days you water. That's when you can do like 5 liter, 10 liter. But not over watering. these trees, once you overwater it, becomes a very furious thing. You can see this, we have these two lines of irrigation, which there is that one which is running and there is this other one. And then we have this one. So which one is more effective according to any knowledge? Which one is more effective? The round one. But is it effective at the given stage or at some time, not now?
Sometimes.
Sometime. So in other words, this water is being wasted at the current state. So the right one at the moment is which one? It is this one. Another thing which you really need to put into consideration, how do you handle pests in this? They are given pests in these trees. And how do you identify the pest? Are you seeing this? Is anyone seeing this hole? Are you seeing this hole? Is it a pest? Is it a pest? Okay. It can be either a pest or it cannot be a pest. At times it can be both, all of them. It can be a pest or either it can be a deficiency. But in this case, this is not a pest, this is a deficiency. So, how do you check on the pest? Will you just come on the farm, say that the trees have been eaten, let us spray? No, you don't do that. I want everyone to write it down by saying that you need something we call spray diary. Having a spray diary, you cannot run avocado minus a spray diary. Spraying this tree during rainy season is different from spraying it during dry season. How will you ascertain that the insects have eaten my trees and it needs spraying? It's not a matter of fact of you just coming, checking on this one tree, and then immediately you make judgment based on this one tree. What you have to do, have something called scouting daily. Before the workers goes to start the work in the morning, align them. Everyone to take 2 lines or either 1 line. Do it within 5-10 minutes. You are done. Close the book. Then they go on the daily activity. Another thing comes in. You can be seeing, we will try as much as we can to share a book about insects and the fungal infections for most of the avocado. Then you can be seeing along your area if you have the same insects and how you're going to tackle it. It will be the easiest way to help you farmers, because even if we explain different insects in different localities, we have chemicals which are recommended in AU and we have the chemicals which are not recommended in AU. But Africa is Africa, always. Chlorophyllifos was banned a long time. It's not even acceptable internationally. We have another one which they are using to kill dogs and snakes called furana. It's only Uganda which has that chemical. It was banned in 1999, but it's here. So it becomes a dumping site for a lot of chemicals which does not work. And these are the chemicals which are causing cancer. We have something called maximum residue level and minimum residue level. You'll get other farmers telling you we are doing organic purely. There is no organic pure. Forget it. For you to be considered as organic, your farm has to undergo certain certifications. Forget about this manure which you are putting. You are not spraying the trees. You cannot still even export that organic to viewers because it's not yet approved and certified. So even if you are doing conventional of spraying and you want to convert your farm into organic, it can be done at any given point when you're ready. And it's very expensive. It's around $5,000 doing certification of organic. And it takes 2 years for somebody who does certification to come and stay in your farm, because there's some things which are supposed to be on the right path. So I think you have understood up to there the irrigation, why we need irrigation, why do we need the spray program, and why do we need even to follow the plans. So I don't know, any question?
What are the possible measures which can be taken to prevent root rot after rain? Because you know,
okay. Number one becomes we say the planting mode really determines. Number two, the types of soils you have. Number three is how frequent do you water. Now, remember we have other people have loam soil, whereby during rainy time it becomes more cloggy with water. On that case, try as much as you can immediately after the rain. You see, by putting enough mulch like this one of cow dung, this organic mulch, it suppresses away, it reduces. Then the lime. That's why we usually say towards dry season, try as much as you can to do the soil testing and do the leaf analysis. It will give you an informed. If all those ones fail, then you can emulate on sprays. But the sprays comes in as a last option. But there are those sprays like Ridomil Gold, which is metalaxyl and mancozeb combined. You can use it to maintain your roots very good. But keep on checking how loose your soils are.